I'm so glad you're joining me again today. So, I'm Alyssa, the Lady Boss owner of The Right Place, Right Time, and also a ghostwriter and author. I absolutely love to talk about writing, and I love to teach other people how to go about writing using some kind of quirky metaphors and analogies and some things that I've learned along the way in my process of becoming a professional writer. So today I want to talk about uncovering personal story. Sprint to the finish line is the name of this video. So I'm gonna share some personal information here. Number one, I was not much of an athlete growing up. All right, the first sport that I realized I kind of liked was track and field, and most people didn't even consider that a legitimate sport. But I liked that sport because it wasn't so much about competing with big groups of other people, right? You know, like you're on the soccer field and it's team against team. Um, but I felt like it was more competing with my best, right? And of course, there's other people in the lines, you know, on a track meet, you know, and you're racing against them and you're trying to beat them to the finish line. But I also like the idea that I was trying to become faster. I was trying to beat my best time, or I was trying to throw the shot put or the discus further than I had the last time. So there was like a self competition, right? A self kind of pushing, you can do this, that was going on that I really enjoyed. Now, the funny thing is about that, right, is that although I love to run, I did not love to run long distance. I like the sprints, right? The thought of going around loop after loop after loop after loop to get to, you know, a mile or a mile and a half, oh my gosh, just bore me to tears and exhaust me just thinking about it. There was nothing to look at. It was just loop after loop after loop, around and around and around and around. And oftentimes the tracks, you know, would be in the middle of like a field, no trees, no shade. And so on those super, super hot spring days, heading into summer vacation, you know, you would just see these, you know, girls and boys running around in circles, just like sweating profusely. And I was like, oh, no thanks. like, let's fire off the gun. Let me do a 100-yard dash and like, let's call it a day. And then I'll chill out the rest of the track and field meet, like hanging out with my friends, you know, in the middle of the track. This makes sense to me. I have a lot of energy. I'm fast paced. I can be kind of intense, and I'm a mover and a shaker. So I'm like, yeah, let's get this shit done. Let's go. Start to finish. Boom. Let's bang it out. The issue with that, however, is I'm also a perfectionist. And when you are kind of running straight to the finish line, like that perfectionism can get in the way because you want to spend all this time trying to like dial it in right away. So for a long time, when this comes to my writing, right, I swear that there's a connection and a point. I could not write if I didn't have a certain length of time available to me in my calendar to just sit down and go for like 45 minutes or longer. I always felt like, what is the point in sitting down with only 10 minutes? I can't get anything done. I'll just barely be saying something by the time 10 minutes rolls around, and then the time will be up, right? So I had it in my head I needed these huge blocks of time. Well, who's got huge chunks of time set aside? Not me. I was, you know, I'm a mom. I was often in a full-time day job. Now I'm not in a day job, but I'm running my own business and wearing multiple hats. I've also got relationships that I want to foster. You know, I'm a partner, I'm a daughter, I'm a sister, I'm a friend. My schedule's packed. So when was I going to find time to do some serious writing with all the things going on? And I realized that I really needed to let go of the idea that I needed 90 minutes or 45 minutes or 4 hours or whatever it was. I needed to just let go of the idea that good writing could only be done in these long segments. And it made me start thinking about the fact that I've always been a sprinter and not a long distance runner, right? And so I was like, all right, fine. I'm going to try doing what I call a writing sprint, set a certain period of time, and I'm just going to go. I'm going to just hammer it out. No censoring, no overthinking, no trying to have a plan. Like just sit down and like crank something out and see what happens. Come to find out, I could actually get a lot done in a very short period of time when I wasn't overthinking it, right? When I was letting go of all the mental games that I was playing with myself about this need for this long period of time. And so I started doing these writing sprints, and that ended up being really effective for me. And all of a sudden I was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. I'm getting writing done, and I don't feel so crappy about the fact that I haven't gotten any writing done because I've been waiting for unrealistic pockets of time. So the idea, my friends, is not to focus on how long that you should be writing or could be writing, but to focus on the fact that you are writing, right? Those 100-yard sprints that I was doing, if I was to add them up over a period of time, probably meant that I had ran miles and miles and miles and miles and miles, right? But I was doing it in short increments, and that worked for me. And so that's exactly how I wrote my book, Dear Universe, I Get It Now. I wrote it in the writing sprint method. I'd pick a chapter and I'd say, okay, I'm going to write as much of this chapter as possible in X amount of time. If I happened to get through the entire chapter in whatever block of time I could set aside, great. If I couldn't, I went back to it the next writing sprint. But instead of beating myself up about not completing full sets of information, full chapters at a time, or not having hours and hours to devote to this one manuscript, I just did what I could. And it was amazing how much better I felt in having gone somewhere instead of going nowhere over and over and over again. So I hope that the writing sprint method helps you in your journey. And I'm going to be back with you with some more information soon.